Congressman Tancredo, you have made cracking down on illegal immigration the centerpiece of your campaign. Do you think any of the four gentlemen that you have heard speak so far tonight are serious about this problem? And do you agree with Governor Huckabee that some of the people who oppose the illegals are in fact mean-spirited and racist?
You know, I listened to my colleagues up here talk about this, and I listened to the questions that are finally being asked about this and the answers that are finally being given on this issue that happens to be one of the most serious domestic problems that we face in America. And for, of course, how many months did my colleagues up here stay silent or were on the other side of it? You wonder why people in the United States are cynical about politics and politicians. It just could be that when the wind is blowing in one direction, and that is, you know, we're not going to say anything about illegal immigration, we will be silent on the issue. But when it sounds like the people are getting uptight about this and we can make hay out of it, we're all going to be the strongest supporters of secure borders that you ever saw in your life. Well, I'll tell you, I'd like to see more than rhetoric. I wish that I could feel in their hearts that that's exactly where they were going. And it's got nothing to do with disliking people who are coming into this country. It's got everything to do with the rule of law. Does anybody understand that?
Congressman Tancredo, you oppose the troop surge from the start. You advocate pulling forces back from the front lines to strategic positions across the Middle East. Is there anything that General Petraeus could say when he reports to Congress next week that would change your mind?
Well, I hope and pray that, of course, the surge works. I hope, and in fact, I believe there are indications that certain aspects of it are. I don't doubt that for a moment. And I want to commend General Petraeus. I want to commend every single person serving in the theater. But let me get back to a central point here, and that is why we're there and in fact, with whom we are at war. The war is not actually in Iraq. The war is with radical Islam. That's who we are at war with. And we have to understand it. Iraq is a battlefield in that war. And in order for us to be successful there, a number of things are going to happen. And I think when we talk about the disengagement, that is exactly what I believe has to happen. We have to disengage as the police force in Iraq. But we cannot leave the country. We cannot leave because this is not a war that will end with our departure. I wish that were the case. Wouldn't that be wonderful if that's all it would take for us to say, we'll withdraw all of our troops and we will never have another thing to worry about. But we were not attacked because we had troops in Saudi Arabia. I don't believe it. We were attacked because radical Islam wants to destroy the United States of America and any part of this world that they do not agree with.
Well, it's Tancredo. Along those lines, you have said the president should have the power to approve enhanced interrogation techniques like waterboarding in cases where conventional interrogation is not getting the job done. Sir, I want to ask you, is there a line you won't cross in this regard to keep Americans safe? Would you approve the use of torture if you felt it would prevent a terrorist attack?
Torture. I mean, we get into this debate all the time and as to what exactly is the definition of torture. And I'm telling you that we need to do. Remember, the question that I was originally asked that elicited the response that you mentioned was, what do we do in the response to a nuclear or the fact that a nuclear device or some bombs have gone off in the United States? We know that we have captured people who have information that could lead us to the next one that's going to go off, and it's the big one. That was the question that I responded to. And I told you, yes, I would do certainly waterboard. I don't believe that that is, quote, torture. I would do what is necessary to protect this country. That is the ultimate responsibility of the President of the United States. All of the other things that we do, all of the other powers vested in him are pale in comparison to his responsibility to keep the people of this country safe. And that is ultimate. And yes, I would go to great lengths to keep this country safe.
Tancredo, let us add to this mix of circumstances.
I'm sorry.
Let's add to this mix of circumstances a statement from Israel that says that we can't wait. If you don't act, we're going to. What do you do?
Well, the scenario laid out is not one, of course, that leaves you many options, leaves the President of the United States or anybody else many options. You have to actually look at the use. I think one of the most important things we can do with Iran is to look at the Iranian people themselves. To the extent that we can, there's a great deal of dissent inside Iran. And I agree, we certainly don't immediately use the button. We immediately don't go to war. But I also tell you that we cannot back away from this situation, and we cannot be threatened in that way. If it takes it, action must be, if it's required, action has to be taken, and a president has to do that. We can no longer, one of the things that has really bothered me during this whole discussion is the fact that we continue to be politically correct when we face these situations. Political correctness is going to get us all killed. It is absolutely the thing we have to fear. And just if I could, for just a minute, listen. It is already the thing that has gotten us killed in other places. I will never, however, go to war, and under any circumstances, by putting men and women of the...
Yeah. Well, I hate to